we have officially gone a week and a day without any NFL football. And it's been a long week and a day, I'm not going to lie. But the season's over, as we all know, but we got a whole lot of season recapping to do. Before the season, Austin and I went through and previewed the season, gave our picks, put ourselves out there to show our predictions, and obviously we weren't going to be 100% right. And a lot of these is funny how wrong we were. So we're here to look back at that episode and look at how all these teams' seasons went. It should be a fun time. This is K&A Football. Austin, what did you do yesterday on a Sunday with no football?
On a Sunday with no football. It was really unfortunate, actually.
It was.
I thought to myself, I was like, I feel like it's been so long without football already. I was like, well, I mean, there's no football this weekend, so what am I going to do? And I realized that the Super Bowl was only a week ago, and I was like, how was the Super Bowl only a week ago? I feel like it's been forever. Which you probably shouldn't feel that way, but whatever. It felt that way.
It looks really bad on our part because we're like, wow, we're that dependent on. Like,
I am not.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to do with my time.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's only been a week, but like, I was really bored yesterday. I mean, we have a long weekend, so there's no like school or anything to do. So it's like I didn't have homework to do. I just literally was like, wow, like I want to do something, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but it's kind of nice. After church, we got to go to lunch. Didn't have to worry about getting back in time for the games. Yeah. You went to Ponchos, which we didn't think was ever going to happen. But are you a Ponchos guy now?
I am a Ponchos guy now. I wasn't high on it going into yesterday, and then we left Ponchos, and I was like, that was pretty good. It moved up on my rankings for sure.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that.
Yeah. So we'll see if it stays there. Maybe next time it's gonna be terrible again. For the time being, it's definitely high up on my list.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that. But yeah, like you had said in the intro there, we really put ourselves out there earlier this year when we decided to do a whole prediction episode of the whole NFL season. I know that I certainly was worried about it because it was and I think we mentioned it at least 400 times during the episode. That at any point anyone can go back at this episode, and yep. We're never going to take it down, right? It's going to be up there till the end of time, I assume. And so at any point you could just go back and see how wrong we were. And we both went back and we listened to that episode. We wrote down some things that we said that were good, some things that were bad that we'll go over here. And definitely for next year, I think that I'm going to be a little bit more vague. I'm not going to be so specific with some things because I'm like, wow, that was really wrong. The things that I was right about, I was like, hey, let's go. But the ones that I was wrong, I was like, oh man, I probably should have done a little bit more broad. Yeah, the Jets, they're gonna play football this year, Kadin. That's what I'm gonna do this year. You know what I'm saying? I feel like I'll get a lot more right that way.
You will. You probably get most of them right that way. But going back and listening to that one, because this was episode 7.
Right, and we're at episode 51 now.
Right. It was hard to listen to, not just because our takes, some of them were completely opposite of correct. We got a lot of them wrong. But aside from that, it didn't sound good. I think I myself said 100 times at least that episode, I'd say something about the Panthers or something about the Browns, and I'd be like, "It's not my bias. It's not my bias though." And me and you, there was things it was so hard. I was cringing listening to it. I was like,
but that doesn't stop you from going back and listening to episode 7 of K&A Football on YouTube. It does
Do
not
go back.
Get those views up, guys. I am shameless. Caden's ashamed of what he said. I am not.
Do not go back. Just watch this one multiple times.
Oh, yeah, that works too. Let's do that instead. Yeah, don't watch that. Just watch this one twice.
There we go. That setup wasn't even the same. We're better now.
We're better for it. We're better for that cringe. So let's go ahead and we'll jump into it. We'll look at the recap of the whole year.
Mm-hmm.
The K&A
I think
week
Debbie's
recap.
made.
I was wondering if you were going to do that, Debbie.
Yeah. think Debbie's made some nice graphics for us.
Oh,
to
Debbie
go
worked very hard in the moments that we were sitting here. I mean, not that Debbie works very hard all the time. This is
not that we were supposed to no hate on Debbie, but
no.
not that we were supposed to go live at 5, and it is currently 5:52.
Don't worry about that.
But don't worry
It's
about
not-
that.
It's 4:52.
It is. We're
Time
actually
is all
early.
relative.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here we are, man. This is the biggest recap episode we've ever done.
Technically, yeah.
I mean, we're recapping an entire year. We have only ever recapped
Make
a week
sure
before.
you're on YouTube. You can listen on Spotify too. That's totally fine. But we do have nice, hard, handmade graphics made by Debbie.
Yeah. Those are words.
Yeah. And
there you go.
and yeah, so or the Rumble. Shout out the Rumble.
Oh
that
yeah,
Debbie
for sure,
loved.
for sure.
But
All right. So these are my picks. If you're watching on the YouTube, you'll see that the blue is what I predicted at the beginning of the year and what's in.
The blue is throughout. The holographics.
Right, yeah. So if you see blue, you'll know that means that was what we had predicted. And anything that's not in blue is what actually went down. So we'll start at, where the heart is. We'll start at home in the AFC North, my home division. And I didn't get this one too incredibly wrong.
flip two teams around.
I flipped two teams. I had predicted that the Bengals would take it. Ravens go 2 in the division, and then I will admit I'll bring in that little bit from the episode 7. My bias for the Browns kind of did sneak in there. I'm not gonna lie. I thought that the Browns were gonna do a little bit better than they did, and I had them going 3rd, and then the Steelers going 4th. Mostly because I thought that Mitch Trubisky was
Trash.
which he was. If he had played the whole year, I think the Steelers would have finished where he was. Obviously, none of us had any idea that Kenny Pickett would end up starting this year at all. So, if I had known that, I probably still wouldn't have changed it, but it is what it is. And as we all know, Bengals did end up taking the division and ended up being the 2 seed in the AFC. Ravens made the playoffs. They were the 6th seed. That's right. And then the Steelers went ahead and finished with a winning record again.
Somehow,
some way. And then the Browns went ahead and finished last in the division, which, as you had mentioned before to me, which I didn't really know, isn't all bad. That means you get the easier schedule for the division next year. So, it's not all bad.
yeah, you're right. The Bengals, we had both predicted. We'll see, but most people had predicted the Bengals to win this division. They were coming off of a Super Bowl win, and they got Joe Burrow.
Super Bowl appearance. They
Super
didn't
Bowl
win
appearance.
it,
They
yeah.
did not win. And they kind of started really slow to start the year, and everyone's like, wow. But they got to their bye, and they had the exact same record they did going into their bye the season before.
Yeah.
And then they turned it on, and they clicked the rest of the season, and almost won to the Super Bowl, lost controversially. Obviously, everyone's talked about in the AFC Championship game. So I think Burrow has cemented himself as a top 2 quarterback in the league. You can say top
Probably.
3, depending on who you want to put up there. But Bengals have one of, if not the brightest future in the league. They're going to be good for 10, 15 years as long as they are able to keep these core pieces around.
Right. It's going to be very expensive to keep some of these
Yeah,
pieces.
for sure.
Obviously, you'll probably see 1 or 2 of them leave, especially on the offense. But they'll probably draft someone just as good. So no worries for the Bengals there. Moving to the AFC South. This one was completely and totally wrong. We'll see once we get to your prediction as well that we kind of thought along the same lines here. That we really thought that the Titans, they had made it to the AFC Championship like 2 years in a row at that point. They had taken the 1 seed 2 years in a row at that point. And we were like, wow, the Titans, they look good. We don't know who they're going to throw to because they just traded away A.J. Brown, but I'm sure they'll figure it out. And obviously Derrick Henry is Derrick Henry, and that's all you need. Turns out that without A.J. Brown and then without Ryan Tannehill throwing the ball because he ended up, breaking his everything, and Malik Willis and Joshua Dobbs couldn't get it done. And the Titans ended up finishing 2nd in the division, behind the Jaguars. That was crazy. It was a great Week 18 game. Everyone and their mother all thought that the Colts were going to be good. My goodness, were we wrong? We have some quotes from us.
Yeah,
here
I was
from
gonna
that
say.
episode.
So we went back. Both of us individually went back and listened to the episode 7.
Yeah.
To the original, to the episode. Goodness, I'm just
English. Yeah.
English is good. So yeah, I have a lot of things written that I said and that Austin said that were either spot on or way off. You're lucky. I forgot to mention the one about the AFC North, but you're off the hook. I'm not going to go back and say it. But
Thank you, I appreciate that. Was that bad take? L take.
Austin did say, what'd you say? L
L take. That's no take on my part.
But yeah, Austin, one of the things he said about the Colts was that Matt Ryan is not the problem. And when I heard that, I laughed.
Oh, I did
because
too.
he was the problem.
Oh,
all
he
season
was
long.
the
He was. I mean, the whole team was a problem, but he
Yeah.
was a huge part in the problem.
Yeah, I mean, but who could have predicted that, right? Matt Ryan, his whole career was never the problem, right? I mean, he did have the
Choke.
nickname Matty Ice,
Oh,
right? And so we were like, yeah, like he's got ice in his veins. He's not the problem, but he's not going to choke away these games other than the Super Bowl one.
Yeah.
But I mean, his whole career hasn't been the problem, and then he goes to Indy, and in the revolving door of old quarterbacks that cost too much, he just happened to be the next one to come in, and now he's out. I don't know where he's going to go. Maybe he'll retire. Who knows? But he won't be in Indy. Obviously, I thought that the Jaguars were not going to win anything. Have heard that I didn't think the Jacksonville Jaguars would win 5 games.
we can't fault you too much on that one, though. I mean, if you talk to anyone that's not a Jaguars fan, they were going to be like, yeah, Jaguars will be 3rd or 4th in that division. It's the Jags. I mean,
Right. They'd won 3 games.
right, they
the
had the
year before.
first overall pick back-to-back years. They're terrible. Anyone except for a delusional Jags fan is like, yeah, they're going to be terrible. But no one could have predicted that they would have, that they'd go first in the division.
Yeah,
So
no
I'm not
one-
going to fault you too much on that one.
Yeah, it's an L take, but it is what it is. And then obviously, everyone knew that the Texans weren't going to do very well this year. Had them going bottom. They ended up going bottom. So
Bottom of the, not NFL.
not of the NFL.
That's
Applause for me. I did get that one right.
Good
All right,
job.
let's go, guys. All right, and then I got the AFC East exactly spot on. So, good for me. Bills took the division. Dolphins ended up going 2. I had said that I wasn't big on Tua at the beginning of the year, and all the way into I feel like week 6 or 7 into the year, I was still saying that I'm not a Tua believer. And then right when I became a Tua believer, he decided to literally die on the field. Well, I guess that's kind of insensitive because someone did, but no, he had it sounds bad, guys. I know it sounds bad, but he decided to get way too many. He decided to get way too many concussions, and then I couldn't believe in him anymore. So
That's better.
yeah, that's what I meant to say. That part that I said before, it didn't happen. It didn't. So I got that one kind of right, I guess. Not the way I thought it would go, but they ended up going 2nd.
Hey, you got it
Patriots-
right, though.
Patriots, that's all that matters, man. I don't care how I get it as long as I get it. Patriots go 3rd. Pretty easy there. I didn't think the Jets were going to be the way they were this year.
Yeah, I
It's
mean,
kind of weird, but
we talked about this before we started, because when I was putting all these here, you got me with your animation, by the way,
awesome.
just now. I was typing all these onto the doc, and I put quotes around this because this is something you said, and you said obviously the Jets they'll be the Jets, they won't do anything, and I was like, oh, you got that one wrong, and you're like, what? I mean, you don't think yeah, they didn't make the playoffs, but they're a quarterback away now from maybe being Super Bowl contenders. I mean, they had the offensive rookie of the year, the defensive rookie of the year. Their defense as a whole was elite. Their receivers are really good. Brace Hall is insane, but he got hurt. I mean, I think they
No, yeah.
Definitely did a lot.
I agree with you there. I'm just saying that they didn't do anything because while they impressed me, my overall impression of the Jets this year just is Zach Wilson. It's just Zach Wilson burned into my memory for this year. And so it's that is unimpressive. It surprises me that it looks like they're going to keep Zach Wilson, not as a starter, but they're going to want to keep him to sit another forever under whoever they bring in. At the moment, obviously looking like either Rodgers, Carr, or Lamar Jackson. But yeah, at the end of the day, I got that one right, and you can't be upset about it.
Now we go to the stacked division.
The stacked division. Everyone, I said this a little bit earlier against the AFC South, but everyone and their mother thought that the AFC West was the most stacked division in football.
Yeah.
And it turns out that there were really only 2 contenders for that division all year, and then one of them blew a 31-point lead to the Jacksonville Jaguars.
It was
So-
27.
So that's pretty bad.
It was 27-point lead.
27-point
Don't
lead.
hate.
It's bad, bro. Either way, L takes on my part, guys. I'm gonna be completely honest here. I did have the Kansas. I'm not gonna pay attention to the rest of the AFC West because it was just all around bad. But I did big red thumb on there is that I had the Kansas City Chiefs finishing last in their division. We all know now that the Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions once again, so that clearly was very wrong.
My favorite part, probably my favorite part of episode 7, or the recap, the prediction episode, was Austin said, and I quote, "Is Mahomes really that good?"
Okay,
or would he just, or did he just, was he just a product of throwing it deep to Tyreek Hill every play?
Right. So I feel like that one's taken a little bit out of context, because that's not a statement.
That is a statement.
No, that literally is a question. If it starts with "is," that has to be a question. It is a question. Like, you even phrase it like a question. Is Mahomes really that good, or is he just a product of throwing it deep to Tyreek? Which is a question.
Clearly, you thought that he was just a product because you have them
Kadin,
last.
That was the question that everyone had, and the only reason I had them last was because I thought that the rest of them were going to be good, because they were projected to be good. The Raiders, they pick up Devontae Adams, and you're like, okay, well, they can only get better, and they didn't do terrible the year before. They can only get better from here. Of course, they're going to do well. The Chargers, I thought they were going to do great. Austin Eckler, fantastic. We told you to take him like 3rd in fantasy, right? Of course he's going to do good. Their receiving core is very good. Justin Herbert is terrible, but that's beside the point. No, I'm messing. Justin Herbert's not terrible. I was hoping for a reaction out of you.
I was not giving you the reaction you wanted.
So, of course I had them going last. Was it stupid? Looking back on it, of course it was, but hindsight's 2020. All right, moving into the NFC. This was really not great on my part. I did have the Green Bay Packers going ahead and winning the NFC North. I had the Green Bay Packers making it all the way to the Super Bowl, actually. Clearly that didn't happen. They missed the playoffs, and now Aaron Rodgers is in a dark room somewhere, probably doing whatever he's doing. For 4 days, even though I feel like it's been a lot longer than 4 days. I don't know about you guys. I feel like it's been before the Super Bowl that he's been in this room.
Well, maybe he waited till after the Super Bowl. Maybe he wanted to watch.
Maybe. I don't know, bro. I feel like it's been a lot more than 4 days either way. I had the Vikings going second. That was a better take. Lions going third, even though I really thought that the Lions and Vikings could flip-flop there.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Bears last, which W take from me. I said that if the Bears win 3 games, it'll be a miracle, and they went ahead and finished at the bottom.
They won exactly 3 games. So that was a very good take.
That was a good take for me. But
rare Austin W take.
Yeah, very rare. Those don't happen very often, especially when you look at all of these. Good gosh, man. All right. Whoa. We have 2 NFC Norths, apparently. Oh, no, we have 4 NFC Norths, actually. We have 4.
Oh, that is funny.
So in NFC North Part 2, in what is the NFC South, I didn't even notice that.
That is funny.
In the NFC South, I remember this one being very hard to pick. I thought the Saints were going to be better. That's on me. I had expectations.
That's your fault.
That's my fault for having expectations.
For the Saints.
I'll go ahead and not do that next time. That's really on me. So Saints winning the division didn't happen. Buccaneers finishing second didn't happen. Panthers finishing third didn't happen. Falcons finishing last. Hey, we nailed that one, boys. I told you Marcus Mariota was not him, and he was not him. So we had that going for us. But this division was really hard to pick, mostly because I think you said it, and we'll get into some things that you said as well, but you had said that you thought that the Panthers would be able to make the playoffs because the NFC doesn't have a lot of contention for that. And so you'd be able to slip in there. And that's almost what happened here in just your division.
Yeah.
Literally until the last week, everyone was still in contention for it. So that was, I'm not even taking blame on myself for picking that one in the NFC South.
I'm not taking blame. I'm not going to blame you for little football knowledge. I'm going to take blame on you for you lost the pick'ems this season solely off of picking with your heart every single week. You picked this division solely off of trying to tick me off, because if we go back, we all know, if you know anything about me, you know that I have a hatred for the Saints. And he has Saints at 1, and when that came out on the screen, I walked off. I walked to the corner of Debbie's basement, and Austin said, no real reason that I picked the Saints except I got a feeling. That right there tells you that he didn't really think that they were going to win, but he just wanted to make me mad. So I don't fault you too much for football knowledge. I just fault you for you pick with your heart and your mind way too much.
Well, now you can watch them at the Waffle House. So
that is true.
It'll be fun.
Keep picking with your heart, actually, please. I'd like to do this again next year.
I like waffles. I don't like waffles. NFC East, which is apparently still the NFC North.
Part 3.
Part 3. I got the first 2 teams right, guys.
Everyone did.
We got that one. Eagles take the division. Great work there. I said that I didn't know where to put the Cowboys. I didn't want to put them second because I thought they could get first. And up until that last week, they still had a chance to take it first. So, W take from me on that one. And then the rest of it, I'm so sorry for everyone that I told not to believe in New York. New York, I am sorry. You proved me very wrong. I said that New York Giants weren't going to do anything. I said the New York Jets weren't going to do anything. And, the Giants went ahead and went to the second round of the playoffs. So, that's on me. And the football team went ahead and, did nothing with Carson Wentz, which we did tell you was the problem.
We did tell you that. So, there is that, guys. Yeah, one of the things you did say, I really hope this is a joke because, nobody was high on the Giants going into this season, but no one was that low on the Giants, right? They were not projected to make the playoffs at all, but they weren't supposed to be the worst team in the league. And Austin said, again, I really hope this was kind of sarcastic or a joke or something, but he said if the Giants are anything better than 0-17, it'll be a miracle. And no one expected them to go to the playoffs. It was a
miracle week in and week out that they won.
Right, but 0-17? They're not that bad.
It was a miracle that they won any of those games.
Wild to me. You were fine. If you really think that, then you were way wrong.
Well, I was wrong. I'll take that.
They snuck by on most of their games, though.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's they didn't pound anyone. It wasn't oh, wow, the Giants won that. It was wow, the Giants somehow squeaked out another win today. How did that happen?
Right.
When's it going to stop?
Would you rather have been the Vikings and dominate people all season and then lose in the playoffs, or get these
The Vikings
small...
didn't dominate. The Vikings had 11 games decided by
you're right.
The Vikings also...
horrible
Right, the Vikings... I was going to say that's the Vikings also...
Right, no,
the Giants,
but would you rather be a team that just is dominating these teams and then you lose in the playoffs, but they're squeaking by. As long as you're winning games, and it worked. They got to the division.
It works. I'm not hating on it working. I'm all for it. A win's a win, and that's how it is. All that matters is the W column keeps ticking up. That's what matters.
Right. They're not a Super Bowl team. They're not that caliber.
They're just not.
You can't win a Super Bowl or win conference championships off of that type of play.
Right. And before the season, who would you have said the Giants had? You have Daniel Jones, who he's on the hot seat before the season even starts. Saquon, he's never been healthy in his life. He was born hurt. Who are their receivers? And they have no defense. What do you think?
Yeah,
that was not
right.
That was not a. Did it turn out great? No, but there was zero faith going into that season for them.
No, they got Isaiah
Who exactly? Who? And they traded away Kadarius Toney. So don't even with me. He was the only piece on that offense. And then finally, the NFC West. I had the Seahawks finishing last. They ended up doing pretty well. Cardinals did really terrible this season. I had them going third in that division. Who could have predicted Kyler Murray apparently prioritizes Call of Duty over football and then gets injured just so he can play more Call of Duty. I did have the 49ers going 1, not for any of the reasons they went 1. We talked a lot about Trey Lance and Jimmy Garoppolo because I didn't know Brock Purdy existed before this year. And then I did say that the Rams were going to do well. I said, they have all these pieces. They're bringing them all back. They're going to run it back. Little did I know the highlight of their season was going to be Baker Mayfield winning a game. So,
yeah.
Whoopsies.
But we did say Super Bowl hangover is a thing.
We did say that. I didn't think it was going to be this bad.
Austin, what do you think... Where do you think Kyler Murray will go this year? Do you think he'll
stay?
He'll stay
he's still in there.
First? Oh,
what do you mean?
He'll stay QB1?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah,
yeah. He's not a terrible quarterback by any means.
No, he's not.
He's a good quarterback, and they just paid him, the moon. Right, they paid him $250,000 or $250 million. Yeah,
they got to keep him now.
So they have to keep him, and they're bringing in a new coach. They did hire someone. I don't remember.
They hired the Eagles defensive coordinator.
Yes, that's who it was. So they just hired him as the new head coach. So, obviously, unfortunate for Kyler Murray because that's a defensive-minded guy. So you're not really going to get
Jonathan
Gannon.
Yeah.
So you're not going to get all of that offensive guru kind of mind. You're getting a defensive guy, which is what wins you championships. So I'm all for it.
So they say. But
yeah, that's what they say, bro.
Yeah, one of the things no one can fault you, me, because I had the same exact pick. Like literally everybody had Seahawks last in the division, last in the league. I mean, they were supposed to be terrible. This is maybe one of the more surprising seasons by a single team in NFL history. I mean, they were supposed to be so bad, like lock for the first pick, and they made it to the playoffs, which is very, very impressive for them. So I'm not faulting you for that at all. I mean, nobody in the world could have predicted. Even Seahawks fans would not have said.
Even Seahawks
fans
like,
before the season were saying like, "Yo, only like 9 months, and then we get CJ Stroud." Now
Right.
they're like, "Oh, crap, we can like win 4 games, and then we're gonna be in the Super Bowl." You know, so it's like, yeah, for sure.
Absolutely crazy. So now, Kadin, now that I've endured my pain.
Oh, I want to say one more thing. This
All right,
I didn't know
never
when
mind.
to add this little. Well, I don't know what to call it. A little quote by Austin, but I didn't know when to add it in. But probably my favorite part of it, besides the little Mahomes statement you had there. You asked me the question. It's not like you just said this. You asked me. You said, "Hey, do you think that the Jets will be better than the Davis Mills led Texans?" Like you're emphasizing that Davis Mills is their quarterback, like he's some amazing guy or something. And I was like, yes, like I think the Jets will be a lot better than them. I don't think Davis Mills. And you go, I do not. I think the Texans will be much better than the Jets. And I don't want to spend too much time harping on you, but found that very funny. And the fact that you emphasized Davis Mills and he didn't even finish the year as their quarterback because he was so bad. It's all right.
He did finish the year as their quarterback.
They had like 5 quarterbacks rotating.
They
every
had
game.
one, and it was like a college system. Don't even with me. He was still the starter. All right. So now before we get into your pain and your suffering, now that we've endured mine, this episode is sponsored by K&F Construction. K&F Construction has been serving the Northeast Ohio community for over 16 years, specializing in composite decks. K&F Construction takes the time and effort to provide the service and product you deserve for your home. You can call K&F Construction today at 330-575-2465 for a free estimate. Again, that's 330-575-2465. You can also visit kfdecks.com, which is linked in the description. K&F Construction, let us build your dream backyard. That's painful, Kadin. I had to endure all of that suffering, looking at all my bad takes and hear you spit all these bad quotes that I said. And I'm really excited.
Gotta keep it vague. Gotta keep it vague, like you said.
I know we're learning from this mistake.
Next year, like you said,
next
the
year.
Eagles, they were, they'll win some games. They'll maybe lose some games.
The Eagles, they might win.
They're gonna score some touchdowns.
There will be a Super Bowl champion this year.
It's gonna be like in the AFC or the NFC. It'll be like that.
The Super Bowl champion quarterback will abuse the Lombardi Trophy. That seems to be a reoccurring theme. Tom Brady went ahead and threw it off the boat that one year. Patrick Mahomes just kind of handed it to a fan and then walked away because he was so wasted. We don't endorse that kind of thing, children. But that was just hilarious. All right, so
we jumping into my picks now.
Jumping right into them.
All right, so if we go ahead and take a look at the AFC North, we're gonna see that I got them all right. I got the Bengals first place, the Ravens second place, and then the Steelers third and the Browns fourth. So Austin, we were the same except we just flipped the 3 and the 4.
Yeah,
and I think after we had recorded that episode, I had said to you, I really wish I would have put the Browns 3 and the
you
Steelers
did say
4.
That. Yeah.
Looking back, I'm really glad I didn't because it makes me look a lot better. But it doesn't do anything now that I just said that. But yeah, I mean, it made me look really biased. Bias. That was
Bring
my
that
word.
word back in.
Because we know that I'm not the biggest Browns fan, and it looked like I was just, I don't like the Browns, so I'm going to put them at 4. But that's ultimately how it went. That's not the Browns didn't have a horrible season. I mean, Jacoby Brissett was feasible for them, and Watson was rusty like everyone expected. But yeah, this division's has a lot of question marks coming up. How's Watson going to play when he's a full-time starter now? The Steelers, I mean, they're kind of just the Steelers every year. The Ravens, how's the Lamar situation going to go? And then the Bengals are just going to continue to be dominant. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yeah. One of the things that I had said about the Ravens that I forgot to mention was that obviously before the season started, there was a lot of controversy on, what was Lamar Jackson going to do because he wanted his money and they weren't giving him his money. And so was he going to sit the year? Was he not going to play for them because he didn't get his money? And I said that even if Lamar Jackson doesn't play, the Ravens will be fine because Tyler Huntley looked fine last year.
He went to the Pro Bowl, bro.
He went to the Pro Bowl. That's what we'll tell the viewers. He went to the Pro Bowl, so he must be good, right, guys? No.
That's exactly what that means.
That's what it means.
But yeah. So I was 100% accuracy so far. Then we moved to the AFC South, and we have the Colts winning the division.
Whoopsies.
But I did not come out here and say that that Matt Ryan is not the is
a not the problem.
Is a not the problem quarterback.
You said that. You agreed with me.
You're right. I did agree with you, but I didn't specifically say that. That did not come out of my mouth. I just said, yes, you're right. But yeah, I guess you're right. But like we said, we were way wrong on that. I mean, the whole Colts team was terrible. I mean, Jeff Saturday picked up their team in like week 6, and that tells you all you need to know. They didn't win another game. They won one game with Jeff Saturday, and it was their first game with him. So
yeah, and somehow he was still in coaching contention for this year.
I don't think so. I think it was really just they were waiting. It was for the memes. They were like, yo, but they ultimately came out and hired the Eagles offensive coordinator, Shane Steichen. I don't know how you say his last name, but and obviously they had to wait till after the Super Bowl to hire him. So I think that he was still a candidate, but they knew who they were hiring.
Yeah.
And then I had the Texans. No, I did not. I had the Titans at 2, which they did finish 2. They should have finished 1. I mean, they were dominant for the first half of the season, and then they went on that huge losing streak.
Yeah.
I mean, things just fell apart so quickly. And then the Jags at 3. Again, nobody could have predicted their miraculous run at the end of the season. And then the Texans at 4, kind of the consensus.
Among everyone, the Texans were finishing last there.
Yeah. Any stupid Kadin quotes on this division? No, I didn't have
not yet. Don't worry, we'll get to your stupid quotes.
I wasn't wrong on that. And then we go to the AFC East, and for the second time, I'm 100% on a division. Looking back, I don't know how, because I really think that I was higher on the Jets than I was the Patriots. It's crazy to me that
True, because, and I quote from Kadin, I think the Patriots will dramatically digress this year. Those are the exact words of Kadin.
That is, we had a whole...
No, he said digress. Sometimes.
Anyone who watched like those couple episodes knows that was a whole thing.
Yeah.
But 100% on this. I mean, the Bills, they are really a regular season team. They really seem like they're dominant. They look like they're poised to go to the Super Bowl or win it. And then they go and they fall apart in the playoffs.
Yeah.
I mean, they almost lost to Skylar Thompson and the Miami Dolphins in the first round. I mean, they just fall apart when they get there. Yeah. I mean, it doesn't make much sense. And then the Dolphins, second, they were looking really, really good until, like you said, Tua got 1 million concussions. I mean, yeah, he should really contemplate retirement. And then the Patriots at 3, I don't really know why I've had that there. That's a crazy pick for me. I would have thought that I put the Jets at 3, but go me. I got 100% on that too. So
I don't know what blood demon you decided to sell your soul to, but apparently he knows a lot about football because he went ahead really lucky with a lot of these.
Some of them, because then we go to the AFC West, the stacked division. I did say the AFC West and the NFC West are the 2 most stacked divisions in the NFL. Yeah. Because going into the year, it really looked like that. I mean, the only bad team in those 2 whole divisions was the Seahawks, and that turned out to be way wrong. Seahawks were really good. Right. But, I mean, like you said, the AFC West, everyone and their mom thought that they were going to be the best division of all time. Like we had said, maybe all 4 of these teams could make the playoffs. A division winner and all 3 wildcard teams.
Right. Whoopsies. That didn't happen.
Yeah, that's on me. But I had the Chargers winning the division. I was super high on the Chargers. I kind of still was all season as they continued to still lose. I was like, dude, they're just injured, which they were. I'm not changing my mind on that. But then I didn't have the Chiefs at 4 like Austin did.
Well, that's a good take.
That is a good take. Good job, me. I had them at 2, so I didn't have them winning the division, getting the 1 seed, winning the Super Bowl. But I had them second in the division. And then I had the Raiders at 3. I mean, I really don't understand how you get so bad. It doesn't make sense. And then the Broncos at 4 I did have, and I was correct on that. I was correct on the Raiders and the Broncos. I just flipped the Chiefs and Chargers around.
Yeah. This is where the Kadin quotes start coming in. he said that he was really high on Derek Carr. He thought that they were going to be really good with all of these weapons, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. In case you didn't watch the NFL season, we didn't hear those names too much.
No, we didn't.
They didn't exist.
Devontae Adams.
We did hear Devontae Adams,
But they did not throw him the ball.
him the ball. We don't know why. It's still a mystery that will never be solved. Another one of my favorite Kadin quotes here is, if you remember, in the 2021 NFL season, the Chargers were only one game away from making the playoffs, and all they had to do was tie the Steelers.
Or win or tie.
Win or tie. And if they tied, both the Steelers and the Chargers got in. So like there was like just incentive for both teams to just tie and move on with their lives. But instead, Brandon Staley went ahead and called a timeout with 30 seconds to go, and the Steelers were like, okay, and they kicked the game-winning field goal.
It was the Raiders.
It was the Raiders. I'm sorry,
and,
the Raiders, and they went ahead and kicked the game-winning field goal and won the game. So, quote Kadin: "The only reason the Chargers didn't go to the playoffs last year is because of their coach. He won't do anything that brain dead this year." Whoopsies. Whoopsies. Turns out he cost them another playoff. Well, he made it to the playoffs this year, barely, but then cost them the playoff win 100%.
And yet they are setting themselves up for the exact same thing next season because they didn't fire him.
You want to go ahead and just say this again?
I'll do that on the next on the preview for the next season. Don't worry, I will. But yeah, I was really high on the whole Chargers team, their defense, Herbert. But I mean, they were so injured. I mean, you can't fault me too much on that. I mean, I'm not saying that they would have won a division. Kansas City was still so good, but they had so many injuries. I mean, Herbert broke like every rib possible in week 2, and I really think he was dealing with that for majority of the entire season. And then they didn't have Mike Williams in their playoff game because, you know, the genius of Brandon Staley decides to play him in week 18 meaningless game, but whatever.
Big brain.
So, yeah, it just, I don't fault myself too much on
I
that.
won't fault you for it either.
Yeah. The NFC North now? With the first at the NFC North. We didn't change this one either.
There's still 4 of them.
Yeah, but I had the Packers winning this. I didn't really expect them to be as bad as they were.
No one
Don't
did.
get me wrong, I'm not complaining because I'm a really big Aaron Rodgers hater.
Now you are. If we go back to that episode, you said Aaron Rodgers is the greatest quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is so good.
I didn't
love
say
Aaron
the greatest.
Rodgers.
I did say he was good, but I did not call him the greatest quarterback.
You said, I love Aaron Rodgers. I wish he would adopt me. These were actual words Kadin said.
I'm gonna have to go back and listen to that. I don't remember that. I had the Vikings at 2, which I mean they ended up being 1. They had a really good season. It was a pretty good take. And then I did say I was really debating between the Lions and the Vikings because I was really high on both teams. We both were really high on the Lions. And if it was aside from that first like 8 games of the season when they were like 1-7, we were spot on. I mean, if it wasn't for that 1-7 start, if they would have been like 3-4 instead, they would have made the playoffs with no doubt. And I mean, they'd have. Who knows what they would have done in the playoffs? I mean, they finished really, really hot, and they have a really bright future. And we both were predicting that this season.
Right. I think that we both had was that we really liked what Dan Campbell was doing up there, and we really thought that even if they didn't do well this year, we really liked the future that he was building for them. So good take for us because I think that they will have a much better season this year.
Yeah, I mean, who would have thought going into the offseason that they don't really have to address quarterback?
Right.
I mean, they got Jared Goff, and going into the year, it's like, oh, they got Jared Goff. Like, that's a really big crutch for them. I guess he's just a bridge quarterback, which he probably still is, but he's very serviceable. I mean, he's gotten the Rams to the Super Bowl, and he performed really good this year.
Yeah,
wasn't he technically in the Pro Bowl too? I think so.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
Well, that doesn't mean much anymore.
No,
but
it doesn't. Pro Bowl's terrible, which we talked about. All right, the second of the NFC Norths.
The second of the NFC North. For the third time, 100% accuracy. Granted, it wasn't in the way
that everyone thought.
that I was thinking. I was thinking it'd be like, a normal division. But I did say the Bucks will not run away with this division, and I was right on that. They literally won by a game. If it wasn't for J.C. Horn not drinking milk like we talked about, they wouldn't have won the division. But yeah, go check out Debbie's Reel. We also said McCaffrey will go this whole season without getting hurt. Granted, the whole time he wasn't with us, but he didn't get hurt. He played the full season, which we both said, which is why we said pick him first. Which make sure stay tuned for
Wasn't he out
probably
like 1
next
week?
September's what?
Wasn't he out like 1 week? I thought he was out for like
I think so maybe he
like a foot
stubbed his
injury.
toe or something. I think
was
I remember
something
something
like that.
big like that. Yeah.
But he wasn't like
Yeah, I mean there was
majorly
no
injured.
big injury or
right,
something
right.
like that. But so yeah, make sure you watch next September August fantasy episode.
It's just around the corner.
But yeah, I was super high on the Panthers. Obviously, they're my team. Bias. I didn't expect.
Our bias counters is like 10 right now.
I have to make sure. No, it's not near as high as episode 7 was. Trust me. I didn't predict Baker Mayfield to be as bad as he was. I mean, he was such a disappointment. If you go back and watch episode 1 of the Canada, please don't. I'm just going to advise you to not. But
Everyone will advise you don't watch.
first
that
of all, I'm just
episode.
going to say, like, I'm wearing shorts and I'm like fidgeting with my leg every 5 seconds. It's a rough watch. I will say that myself. But
our monitor is about as big as my computer is.
and now we got like, I don't even know what that is back there. It's big.
I think NASA had less technology when we put man on the moon.
Yeah, like it takes us like 8 years to walk from one side of Debbie's basement to our seats. But that's besides the point. I didn't expect Baker to be so bad. I predicted him to be really good, which kind of sucks.
Yeah.
But if you'd have told me going into the year that the Panthers would be so close, would be literally a broken wrist away from making the playoffs, and they're probably going to get their franchise quarterback in this next draft, I would be...
And they did it with Sam Darnold.
They did it with Sam Darnold. Baker Mayfield was off the team at week like 7. I would be like, first of all, you're crazy, but I'm not the most mad in the world. I mean, if you can get your franchise quarterback, you're going to take that any chance you get. And now they're probably going to trade up and get CJ Stroud is what it's sounding like right now. CJ Stroud, maybe Bryce Young, maybe Anthony Richardson out of Florida. I mean, they have a lot of options. But, what, you're shaking your head?
When that doesn't happen,
Oh, I will be devastated. If we go into
He will
next season with anyone but one of the 3 of them, I don't know, man.
I'm gonna need to find a new co-host. He's just not gonna want to watch football anymore.
Yeah. Then we go to the NFC North Part 3, the NFC East, and again, like Austin, I had the exact same division as Austin.
Yeah.
We just flipped the bottom 2 teams. I had Washington at 3, so did he, but Washington finished 4 and the Giants finished 3.
Yeah.
Kind of the same exact stuff we said when Austin was up. No one could have predicted the Giants to have the season they did. But I did say, I want to pat myself on the back, that the Eagles, I was really high on the Eagles going into the year. I said I could definitely see the Eagles going to the Super Bowl. They did.
Yeah. You also said that you thought that Jalen Hurts was going to have a Joe Burrow kind of year, where I mean, last year the Eagles did well. They made it into the playoffs, but then got knocked out by Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. But then he comes back, he bounces back, and he does really well the entire season. So
Yeah.
that was pretty good takes from you on the Eagles there.
I didn't even know I said that. Like I listened, I was at the Y. I was listening to it, and I was like, did I hear that right? And I like rewind. I was like, go me. And I didn't even know I said that, but sweet. But yeah, we were pretty right for this division. Just flip the bottom 2 teams. And then the NFC North. Oh my gosh, I'm reading the thing. The NFC West, NFC North Part 4. Man, that's really messing me up back there, Debbie. It's okay. I also had the Niners winning. I was really upset that we both had the Niners winning because kind of the consensus was obviously the Rams are going to win because the Rams had just won the Super Bowl and they kept most of their team. They arguably got better. So everyone's going to pick the Rams. You're going to pick the Rams. So I'm going to be different. I'm going to pick the Seahawks. I'm going to pick the 49ers. And I did pick the 49ers, and so did you, and I was really bummed. And the 49ers ended up winning. Again, not like we expected them to.
No, not at all.
We thought it was going to be Trey Lance or Jimmy G, and it ended up being Brock Purdy.
Which we didn't know existed until that happened.
He was the last pick in the draft. Like, nobody knows who that is. But, yeah, and then the Rams, I had at second. They, like you said, their highlight of their season was Baker Mayfield beating the Raiders on a Thursday night game. I mean, their season was terrible. And And then I had the Cardinals at 3. I mean, they were
Yeah.
And then the Seahawks at 4. I did say that the Seahawks are my pick to be the worst team in the NFL, which a lot of people had.
A lot of people did. So that was like the general consensus from everyone who knew anything about football. Was like, yeah, Seahawks are the worst. And turns out that Pete Carroll was only one Giants loss away from being coach of the year. The Giants winning in that first round of the playoffs, I think, is really what pushed Brian Daboll to get that coach of the year bid.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we've gone through all of our divisions, how we thought things would stack up, we have here how we thought that the wild card, everyone making the playoffs, really.
Yeah, the playoff pictures.
Right. Yeah. In my picture, in the AFC, I had Bengals, Titans, Bills, Raiders, in no particular order. That's not seeded. That's just, the division winners. Turns out that only...
Raiders. I'm sorry.
Turns out only 2 of those were correct. The actual, correct was Kansas City, Buffalo, Jags, Bengals, is what it is, guys. You win some, you lose some.
Did you get... Oh, you got the Bills right. And the Bengals.
Yeah.
So you went 2 for 4, 50%.
That's still pretty bad.
That's still a fail
That's
in
really
school, but it's all right.
Yeah, you'd know. As for my wild card teams, I had the Chargers, Broncos, and Colts. So I had 3 AFC West teams in there because I really thought that was going to happen. I was wrong. I'll admit it. I was very wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And then obviously the Colts, and oh boy, was that a doozy. The real wild card teams were Chargers. Let's go. Got that one. Ravens, and then Dolphins. In my NFC playoff picture, I had Green Bay, the Saints, Eagles, and 49ers. So again, 50%. Actual picture looked like Vikings, Buccaneers, Eagles, 49ers. And then the wild card teams being, in my picks, Buccaneers, Rams, Vikings.
Which 2 of those teams ended up winning their divisions.
Right. So, you win some, you lose some. That was pretty close, I guess. And then how it actually turned out was obviously the Cowboys, Giants, and Seahawks. Unfortunate, but, how it is sometimes. All right, let's stop talking about me. Let's talk about Kadin now.
Yeah, let's do that.
Let's do that. Let's see how Kadin did.
Oh, what's on the screen? A 7-minute timer. Sweet. I have 7 minutes to do this. For the AFC division winners, I had the Bengals, I had the Chargers, I had the Bills, and then Colts. But we don't talk about the Colts one. The other ones I was pretty good on. I mean, the Chargers, they were a wild card team.
Right.
The Chiefs ended up winning that real division. It was the Chiefs, Bills, Jags, which nobody saw coming, and then the Bengals. And for the wild card, I had Kansas City at 5. So at least I had Kansas City in the playoffs.
Right.
Austin had
thanks
them
for
fourth in the
Thanks
division.
for continuing to point this out.
You're
I
right.
really appreciate it.
You're welcome. And then 6, I had the Ravens,
Which was spot on, actually.
exact position, and then the Raiders. Wrong.
Dead wrong.
Again, I also had 3 AFC West teams making the playoffs.
Yeah.
Everyone was really high on the AFC West going into the season, and they they disappointed. And then the NFC division winners, I had the Packers. I was wrong. And I had the Bucks. I was right. And then the Eagles and the Niners. So I got 3 out of 4. That's a 75%. That is better than my last math test. And that is a passing grade right there. And for the wild card teams, I got 1.
Yeah, and you had them at the 7th seed. But it's fine. Who could have predicted that the Rams were going to be as bad as they were, and everyone was going to get hurt, and Baker Mayfield was going to be their highlight. I could have told you the Panthers weren't going to make it, but they still could have squeaked in there, even
not as a wild card team though.
Not as a wild card team.
Division winner.
Yeah. All right, and then finally get into our championship picks here.
7-minute timer again. You got 7 minutes. Go.
So I had my AFC champion being the Buffalo Bills. I thought that they were going to come back with a vengeance after that epic playoff game with Kansas City the year before. I was really high on them the whole year. During the pick'ems, I think said that I don't think I can envision a world in which I don't pick the Buffalo Bills every single week, and I think that I picked them every week, and that's not the reason I lost, but I'll blame it on them. It's your fault, Josh Allen, for how many interceptions you threw. The actual AFC champion was the Kansas City Chiefs. My NFC championship, I had the Green Bay Packers. Whoopsies, that didn't happen.
They didn't make the playoffs.
They didn't even make the playoffs, and now Aaron Rodgers is in the cave. And then
yeah.
the Eagles were the NFC champion. My Super Bowl winner was the Buffalo Bills. Go Bills. They disappointed again, just like they did in the AFC Championship pick, and the Kansas City Chiefs were the Super Bowl champions. That's fine.
That's all right.
You can't win them all.
Yeah. I mean, that was a really popular pick was Bills. A lot of people were saying Bills.
Fortunately, you were a lot more wrong than I was on all of these. So
No, I was not.
none of these teams are in there.
Okay.
I'm just saying, bro.
What do you mean none of those teams were in there? Neither were yours.
No, that's not the point.
Well, okay, so I had the 49ers being my NFC champion, which was wrong, but they made it to the NFC championship, and they were a Brock Purdy.
They did do that.
They were a Brock Purdy shoulder or elbow or whatever it was away from maybe winning the game.
That didn't happen. No.
How am I more wrong than you?
You're
Whatever.
tripping.
And I whatever. I had the Chargers being the AFC champion and the Super Bowl champion, so I was wrong on that aspect, but I got at least the right division.
That doesn't count for anything.
Dude, it's gotta be something.
That counts for less than nothing.
That's gotta be
That counts
something,
for
man.
less than nothing.
I had the Super Bowl champion in the playoffs. You know,
You know,
you got to be in the playoffs to
Caden,
go to the Super Bowl.
I'm picking a new co-host for next year. You're done.
You won't get to pick that. Debbie does.
I'll bribe Debbie. Don't you worry. All right, so that's our full season recap. Normally we do weekly recaps, but here we are with the full season one. And oh boy, were we wrong.
What is
Whoa.
this? Oh, it's
It's
a big K&A logo
big
back
K&A
there.
logo. Love it. All right, yeah, nice. So I think we're
Debbie's doing this
like,
back
I
there.
think he's telling us to
Stay tuned for the Waffle House episode of whenever we do have to narrow down a date for the three of us.
Yeah, we keep saying it, but
That works.
we will get to posting
But
it.
we
on
will
Instagram.
just stay tuned.
Stay
How about this? Every single day, go and check. Every night, go
Fact.
check the YouTube.
Do it.
And if it's there, sweet, watch it. If it's not there, you
Watch something else.
you watch an old episode of the podcast.
That's so true.
By the time you watch all 51, we should have posted it.
We promise. It will happen within 51 days.
But
All right.
yeah,
Yeah, so thank you guys for watching. This was our full season recap. Obviously, not everything was guaranteed to be 100% correct.
we
Despite
said
how
that.
I had advertised it to be.
Next season.
Yeah, thank you guys for joining us on the ride through this entire season, from all the way from us picking everything till now. We really look forward to getting into more off-season stuff that doesn't have to do with the actual NFL season, and hope you guys enjoyed. We'll catch you next time. Thanks for watching this episode of K&A Football. You can listen to our podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and we're also active on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube Shorts.
If you made it this far in the video, thank you. You're a real one. We'll see you next time.